Welcome to Spiritually Raw. We expose and explore controversial truths, myths, and theories surrounding the spirit world. Guests includes investigators, debunkers, and skeptics of the supernatural, unexplained, and flat-out unimaginable. Content discussed on this show is not necessarily the opinion of the cast of Spiritually Raw, and topics quite often are for mature audiences only. This show is not intended to replace any medical, financial, or legal advice and is for entertainment purposes only. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
I'm literally getting my mom back.
Wow.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I was losing her, so, for whatever reason, whether it was because of 3 of these or not, I'm getting my mom back.
Oh, God bless you,
I'm so grateful.
Wow, and you're crediting it to this, or there's a big part of that? You really are?
It started happening when this started happening.
Wow.
And then I saw something happen with skin lesions just falling off my friend's body. And I'm like, okay, it's not a placebo. This is real.
Hello, everybody. How are you? And welcome to Spiritually Raw. And as always, thank you so much for your energy exchange with us today. And we hope you woke to the most miracle morning and are also having the most fortunate day today. So from our dear friend from across the pond, right? Alexander Quinn is here with us today to help us on our journey called life, because he's got an incredible journey. He's going to talk about his experiences. A lot of you, I'm sure he's very familiar to many of you too. So you've probably been seeing him out there a lot and talking about his world and what's going on there. For those of you who are going to meet him for the first time, he'll be sharing that aspect of his life and even give us some insight about how we can really cruise to this journey a little less bumpy sometimes, right? So all of his links will be in the description below. All of our links are in the description below. Don't forget to download us on the phone, and you can also watch us on Roku TV. What else?
And from wherever you're watching this show, please do take a quick second, hit the like button, subscribe, and kindly share the show. We would all greatly appreciate it. So if you're like, I've never seen this person before, which I highly doubt, meet Alexander Quinn. Let me just give you a quick little. He is the Starseed Ascension Phenomenon, ET Spirit Contactee. I can't wait to hear about his story. You've probably seen him on YouTube, many shows. And he is the author of Starseed, What Starseeds, What's It All About. Mouthful there. Thank you so much. We're so excited to learn about your story today.
How you doing,
and get
brother?
to know you a little bit more.
How you doing? Everything good in your world?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Yeah, all is good. All is good. The book pre-orders are coming out.
Congrats on the book, by the way.
I've got emails coming at me from every direction. Things are getting very, very hot. My end. It's great. I'm just kind of finding my feet at this moment in time.
Yep.
So and I just want to say how wonderful you both look today.
You're
both looking well, and I love the third eye thing, and I was just saying about the motorbike.
I tried to put a little something on so you couldn't see it as much, but you must have been able to see it. Oh, I got it. I get it now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So listen, man, I want to ask you, and then to help break this down from the simple side of things, the starseed, we hear that term a lot, starseed. Can you give us the broad brush definition of who and what a starseed is? Let's start with that place.
Well, in a nutshell, it's an advanced being, someone who was advanced enough to come down into this lower density nightmare of an earth for some people, although once you ground and get used to it, it's actually pretty cool. But it's basically a highly evolved spiritual soul, often with angelic or ET connections, which has come down here from their councils in order to facilitate through different waves, getting us into these more multi-dimensional energies, which began with the harmonic convergence in 1987, when the magnetics began to change and realign, so that when these codes came in from Alcyon, the great central sun, the galactic central alignments, and also everything else for our DNA to become aligned with electromagnetics, so that we wouldn't fry ourselves So that also more of a higher self would integrate. We could actually crystallize our DNA and start the diamondizing process. So a lot of the star seeds, a lot of old soul star seeds who have actually been here, I meet a lot of them with my clients. They've actually been here hundreds of lifetimes. Some of them have been here since Lemuria. And even before Lemuria, because don't forget, a lot of people talk about Lemuria, but we had the 12 seed races before that, and that boiled down to a few more, a few less. And then you have some of the newer star seeds. You've got the crystal children, the rainbows, and then even the diamond children. And you've got some of these newer ones which have only had like one lifetime here, like 2 lifetimes here. So we're getting some of those even much more psychic kids, the indigo children coming in. Indigo children are very, very important as well. Nancy Ann Tapp, who coined the term indigo, because she was a synesthesiate. And when she ate potatoes, she tasted squares. And when she heard a violin, she would see orange. And she was one of the first people who, and that's a character. It's a common characteristic of synesthesiates. So their cognitive ability is kind of skewed into another dimension. So she was one of the first people who really started actually seeing the auras of people in the 60s and the 70s and noting down red, green, brown, what they did, what the attributes were. And then in the early 70s, late 60s, not surprising, with that great very first awakening we had around the Summer of Love, 1967, Woodstock, because that was the very, very first one. People talk about the harmonic convergence, and, some of the awakening, 2012, but that was the very first wave. And she started seeing these a new color of aura coming in, which had never been seen before ever again, and it was indigo. So if we didn't have Nancy Ann Tapp, we wouldn't know about the indigos. If we didn't have Dolores Cannon, we wouldn't know about the some of the star seeds coming in. So I specialize in taking the spirituality, or should I say, as you say, the spiritually raw aspect of it, the science, the metaphysics, and blend it all together. And that's my speciality. And my origins are Arcturian. I speak Arcturian, and so starseeds in effect are coming down here and doing a lot of energetic work. I'm repairing the grids, doing work in the astral, repairing ancestral lines, and so on and so forth. It's very quite a complicated analysis of different attributes of things that are going on. And then they go back to their councils, sometimes because of the dense materialistic addiction that you get from being on a planet like this. They have to be deprogrammed when they go back to their councils, and so on and so forth. But you'll notice with a lot of the new star seeds, they're a little bit, some of the crystal children or the rainbow children, they're a little bit just figuring it out for the first time, a little bit gullible. They come in with a little bit, not much karma, but they come into very secure families. So there's lots of different star seeds, old souls, new ones coming in. Increasingly ones from different systems coming in, the ones we all know about. But increasingly we're getting more Andromeda now, because they were the fewest, more Antarian, Polarian. I'm seeing with clients more Vesuvian, and so on and so forth.
How did you know where you came from?
So
how did you figure that out?
So now I do it for clients for a full-time living. I actually tap into their energy. I use numerology. I ask my guides and all sorts of stuff. So, but for me in the beginning, I knew it was definitely that. I was a weirdo at school. I mean, God, I was like some total weirdo. And the only thing I was interested in doing was busy listening to Led Zeppelin and being like invisible. So I just hid inside my music, and I was the classic black sheep at school. Didn't really fit in anywhere, and I was always a bit different. And eventually it got to around the 2012 mark, where I started having experiences, so on and so forth. And I reached out to a woman who was one of those test tube babies that they grew in an underground base in a military lab. Eventually they murdered her, and that's another story. She actually made the ET, the Arcturian, behind me. And I reached out to her in desperation. I said, look, I don't think I'm from here. And I'm having these, I'm seeing orbs. I'm seeing dead people. And there's weird stuff going on. I'm pretty sure it's not the weed I'm smoking. Joke. But so yeah, and she really helped me, nurture me through it, and got me through through the process, and helped me find out who my star family were. And that's when I started having not abduction experiences, but going on ships and all kinds of, and it really just catapulted from there.
What about you? You
Interesting.
mentioned something which caught my attention, and I want to make sure I understood what you said. You said you speak Arcturian, right?
Mhm.
Yes, the dialect I speak is mostly Arcturian, a little bit of Syrian, and a dialect from from somewhere, a galaxy that's actually outside of here. That's partly relational to some of the lifetimes that I had, because I spent a lot of time in ancient Egypt, so there was a lot of Syrian energy there. But I mostly it's mostly Arcturian, yeah.
Can you give us an example of what that would sound like?
And was it something that you were taught, or is it something that intuitively you already had, and then you just had this experience and you like, you know, when they say you talk in tongues, you know, like I'm just using that as an analogy. Is it something
Yeah.
that happens like when people talk in tongues, you'll just be talking and then the Arcturian side will come out?
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, so I definitely will speak some for you. It was slowly when I was meditating more and more and more. So where my parents live out in the country, because I live in London, it's an absolute vibrational nightmare here.
I'm
So,
sure.
but out where my folks live, it's all cornfields and the countryside and stuff. And I would go for long walks, and I would hear this language in my head, and little bits of it wanted to come out. It wasn't until I started working with someone who I get on my YouTube channel called Linda, and I said, look, it's there, but it won't come out. How do I get it out? She started working with me, and eventually it just over about 6 months, and then it just really flowed.
Cool.
So it's let's see. Ishmakati ishmaka papoish nakash intian wat mashmak uashmatia nakat sneak imbash oishnak intating bandanda. That's my Arcturian self, basically something to the effect of saying, hello, it's lovely to meet you. It's lovely to remember you again, because I've met the two of you before in the non-physical outside of your vessels, and how fun it is to be reunited with you.
Well, that's really pretty cool, brother. I love that. I love that. You know, when you have this quote unquote awakening of yourself, you know what I mean, and you start to realize, like, you know, here's who I am, and here's what I'm about. Was there any resistance for you to really start putting yourself out there as you started to get there, or did you just go all in with this? When you started to realize, and you said you saw the lady and said, I'm pretty sure I'm not here from here. But was there any resistance of you just trying to really start getting out there like you are right now, very public, or did you kind of like, you know, just ease on out?
And does your family know this side of you?
Yeah, they all do. There was resistance in the beginning, because I worked in the music industry for many years. I used to live and work in Nashville, and I was writing with John Bon Jovi's writer, and I was dating someone called Minnie McCready, who was a big pop star in the early 90s. And I was in a band with the Kid Rock's lead guitarist Kenny Olsen, and you know, I was doing like a crazy, like, kind of rock star lifestyle, which was so different to where I am now. But this thing was creeping in. I had a terrible accident, woke up in hospital, and this thing just went boom, like straight away. And it was like my old self vanished overnight within a whole day. And then this new thing came in, and it took about 2 years for me to kind of assimilate it, and I went through some really incredible some of the ascension symptoms, but people sometimes get the heart palpitations, they get the ringing in the ears, clairaudience, you know, they get skin rashes, all kinds of things. But I went through one of the most excruciating ones, where your skull recalibrates and your brain changes, you get a head pressure in the head. So I went through all of that. And then eventually, after about 2 years of integration, I just suddenly realized this is who I am. And all these abilities were coming online and stuff. And I just said to all my friends and family, look, I'm not going to do this office job anymore. I'm not going to do this thing. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to do this full time. I'm just going to be a full-time Starseed and do it. And I would say 90% of people around me, friends, but apart from my beautiful partner and my father and my mother, who's a psychic, apart from them, but 90% of them, 95% all said, you're wasting your time. Don't do it. You know, it's career suicide. It's a big mistake. You know, don't. And it's just turned out to be a beautiful thing
Oh,
in the end. And it's, you know, it's hard work, but it's exceptional. So yeah, everyone said don't do it.
Yeah.
But I went ahead and did it, and it's been the most rewarding thing I've ever done.
that's wonderful.
You see,
What was the experience that you had? Would you relate it to like a walk-in experience?
No, I would relate it to that, but I do understand what you mean. Yeah, some people do some people do have walk-in experiences for sure, absolutely. And also people don't forget, you know, you can have multiple walk-ins. You know, you can have 2, 3 other souls attached to your soul. So it's not as linear as people think. I think really what it was for me, it wasn't a walk-in. I think it was just I had so many perception filters and 3D programs and conditioning running. It was actually blocking all the, because everyone in my bloodline are psychics. My great grandmother survived the Titanic because she got off an island and she had a premonition it was going to sink.
oh wow.
No kidding.
My great grandmother was one of the first people to have an astrology column in the Telegraph, the national newspaper here. My uncle's a full-time tarot card reader. My mother was a psychic. So I think this thing in my bloodline was desperate to get through, but I think I had to have an accident to rewire my brain and get me back on track. So I think it was really just a release, a fast track to get me back
Where you
into
wanted to be.
yeah.
That's
No,
great.
you
To
know,
bring
Alex,
it back to center, really.
Alexander,
Yeah.
knowing like what you know, and you know
Mhm.
you're out there, man, and you know you see all the other people out there giving their interpretations, if you would, of you know what life should be like, their connections with the universe. The biggest issue that I think people face is discernment and who and what to believe. You know, you hear about like galactic federations, galactic alliances, and this thing and this is, you know, how much really out there from, you know, your professional opinion. You know, I've known you for a while, but from your professional opinion, how much out there is really just, you know, someone just kind of spinning stories, and how much of it is really legitimate, and what should be people looking out for as we start to get more and more into that our galactic sisters or you know and brothers, the Arcturians, can be coming to see us soon, you know, and that disclosure could be happening. What should we be looking out for, and what should be aware of, or are we running away from, if you would, as far as information wise?
Well, the Galactic Federation do exist, but actually they're only just a little local federation in our galaxy that is partly helping our solar system. There are much bigger organizations than that, many of them. You know, some people say Ashtar is evil and all this stuff, blah blah blah. I personally never tapped into his energy. I don't know. You know how I've spent the last 3 years honing my third eye. So before I get on with a client, I know what they look like. I know what they do for a living before I get on with them. I know why they've come to me, and I write it all down. And I show them before I get on. I show them when I actually get on with them. I say, look, I knew all the stuff about you before you even came on. And it's like with the third eye. You know, when I'm with a client and I'm doing healing on with them, or if I'm trying to tap in or see a being in the room or something, there's only one way you can do that with your third eye and your vision, your feeling, your heart intuition. And it's with neutral observation, compassionate detachment. And
That's
going back to your,
passionate detachment. I like that.
and going back to your question, you know, there's a lot of channels going on about this satanic thing and that satanic thing, and these people are evil and that's evil and all this stuff. You know, that's like still lower fourth density vibrational stuff, you know, and it creates fog. It creates fog. It shuts down your third eye, it shuts down your auric field, all that kind of stuff. And it's an illusion. It doesn't, all that stuff doesn't exist in above 5D and upwards, all that stuff, you know, all that duality, all that polarity. So you can have duality in 5D above, but not polarity. They're two different things, and I can go into that. But so it really is a question of, there are lots of really great people out there. All of them are a little piece of a puzzle, offering you something important, and all of them have something to give. And if someone says, don't listen to that person, or don't go there, blah, 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 what they're doing is they are distracting you away from where your inner guidance led you, because something wanted you to go and listen to that. And it's not up for someone to negate your free will and say, you can't go and do that, you can't listen to that person, blah, 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 because you're being guided there for a reason. So it's important to follow your heart. And I think a lot of people have a very good, good thing to say. The only people I personally don't listen to are the ones who say that person's evil and this is satanic and da da da, da, because that's not, and they say they're 5D, but they're not, because that stuff doesn't exist in the higher realms. And I've been there after doing an hour's meditation up at the Torba Glacier, and I've seen crystal cities in the sky and stuff for a minute when I tapped into, and there is no polarity like that in that energy field.
What about Alexander then? Like people who talk about, and again, I appreciate you coming on here, man, and helping everybody watching out and your view of this all. What about when people talk about events that are about to happen? This is going to happen on this day. That's going to happen on that day. And then they never end up happening.
Or
right?
can I tag on that? You hear a lot of people talking about a huge galactic shift that's coming. And when this shift happens, all the world is going to change.
Like a big flash.
A flash,
and then
what is your perspective
and
on
then
that?
some sort of spiritual rapture happens. What's your interpretation of that? How should we really be perceiving it?
So in 2020, December 23rd, there was something called the Grand Flash, or the Flash, the Grand Flash, whatever you want to call it. And I was tracking that for about 1.5 years before it happened. But I was tracking that from one perspective only, from what the Pleiadians and from the Arcturians were saying, and to some degree Saint Germain as well. So they were talking about it. The actual galactics, were talking about that for 1.5 years in the lead up to it. Now, a lot of people talk about this. I won't mention names. There's some names coming to mind. People who have emailed me to come on my channel and blah blah blah. And they're going on about flashes and things. What I have noticed about some of these flashes and things coming up is that the galactics haven't been talking about it. And so when the galactics themselves on the other side are not talking about it, I actually just discount it for time being. So I did make a video about the great flash in 2020, December 23rd, and I did energetically feel it, because don't forget, the spirit, the unseen world, the spirit world, you can't use these.
Right.
This is the illusion. This will give you the wrong thing. You have to use this and this. And that's why sometimes when I put a video out and I say, this thing will happen this month, or blah, 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 and I get some angry people. I say, well, yes, but Alexander Quinn, I didn't see it. I didn't look out my window. I didn't see it. And I said, well, if you don't tap into your third eye and your intuitive heart energy and tap into the unseen world, the spirit world, you're not going to see it, because energetic vibrational things coming into this planet, you're not going to see them. You will feel them. Unless you're a medium, or you can see, orbs, or you're clairvoyant, you can see spirit stuff, and you feel energies, or unless you can see your third eye. But then you have to be, compassionate detachment, neutral observation. You're observing only. You're not controlling what you're seeing. So it's regardless these flashes and all these things, it's you have to use your own discernment. But I would say don't discount anything. But I personally, if the galactics aren't talking about it, then I just put it to one side and park it.
That's your barometer. I got you.
Well, from your perspective, do you feel a dimension is a place or a level of consciousness?
A dimension is a place in a time-space continuum. A density is a vibrational awareness within that dimension. So the fifth density is a vibration, and if you are in the fifth density, people talk about 3D and 5D.
Mhm.
We're not going into 5D. We're just becoming more dimensional. But actually, all the densities are fluctuating within our day all the time, up and down.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
So, so density is a vibrational awareness, and within different dimensions, you can have different densities. So different dimensions are different timelines on the time continuum. So we have the Armageddon timeline where we blew ourselves, became mutants, looked like some of those bad greys, and then we had to go to the mantis for help, become a hive mind, go back in time travel, get the DNA, and reform our civilization. So we've actually we in our timeline, in our now, we've actually avoided all of that. But there are lots of timelines and lots of dimensions and lots of densities within those dimensions.
Mhm.
Okay, right on.
So fascinating.
Your book that's coming out, what prompted you to write that, man? Tell me what's the reader going to get out of all that?
Well, my mum, who was a psychic, she actually said, "Look, you're going to write a book, and it's going to sell internationally." And I just laughed and went, like, poured myself a beer or something. I thought it was like back in the day.
Right.
And then eventually, my girlfriend had a dream about it as well. And then all of a sudden, all these beings and everything said, "Right, now's the time to do it." And I left the music industry. I was just kind of figuring things out, and I got into this new job, and it was a very safe job. I was in an office job, and I kept on getting these messages about a book. And then very, very bizarrely, the job just suddenly came to like a halt. Like they just said, "We don't need you anymore. Like we're letting you go." Like just totally out of the blue. And then I just kept on getting more synchronicities about this book. So I just said, okay. I sat down one night, and I just went, "Spirit, if there is a book I need to write, just give me a sign." And I had a few things happen, and I quit my job. I quit everything. I literally, I like living off tins of baked beans. I was like broke.
Right.
You know what baked beans are?
Yeah,
Oh,
I got
sure.
you.
Yes.
So I like had no savings, nothing. I was like living on like pure faith, like pure like, please let this work. I'm broke, living on tins of baked beans. So I would commute from my bed to my desk in my bedroom. So I would do like a 10-second commute every day for 6 months. And people say, "Come out, join us, come out, come and do these fun things." I'm like, "I haven't got any money. I'm writing this book. I've been told to write a book. It's like, why am I doing this?" And I sent it off to Ozark Mountain, which is Dolores Cannon's people. And they sent me an email back with a publishing deal straight away.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Congrats.
So it was a very long process. It was a long, drawn out process. I wrote the book like over 2 years ago, and everything in big publishing takes a very, very long time. There's lots of procedures and editing and distributors and checks and getting the permissions, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on. But it's great, and I love Dolores Cannon. She's a real idol, and she helps so many, and so it's great to be part of that family.
And I have the link. It's also in the description. When is the anticipation? When is it coming actually going to be available?
Well, there's pre-orders now, and then there's the actual international release date is. Do you know what? I find this stuff out sometimes with the publisher, and sometimes just for Amazon. I mean, my partner has just been going to Amazon and telling me what's going on. So apparently on Amazon it says the 25th of September.
Oh wow, okay, so
Wonderful.
right there. That's
Yeah.
fantastic, man. I'm happy for you, brother. I really am.
You write a lot about the root chakra. Why, from your perspective, is that so important?
So the root, especially now, is so important because the problem with the problem with a lot of the spiritual community, bless their little cotton socks, I love them, but the problem is that they a lot of them didn't enjoy the physical world, so they want to have a non-physical experience. So they want to be all the upper meridians of the body up here. They want to be up here and almost going out of the body. But what a lot of spiritual people and in the community forget is that we are taking our body with us into these higher energies, up into these multidimensional energies. So you need to be staying in the body and grounding, especially when we're getting these massive CMEs coming in, the solar activity, blah, blah, blah. Because if you're out of the body, it's going to be very hard to transmute all of that energy. It gets stuck somewhere, and then you're getting the heart palpitations, you're getting back problems, you're getting migraines, because you're not transmuting energy and putting it back down into Gaia. So you've got to be in the physical body. And one of the reasons we've come into the physical body, especially at this moment in time, is because you can't take a dark remembrance into a new ascended energy. I'll say that again. You can't take a dark remembrance into a new ascended energy.
No.
So all of our akashic trauma, sexual abuse trauma, issues, fear, anxiety, ancestral issues, tribal issues, often are all trapped in the sacral, but mostly the root.
Yep.
And that's why, and the root is linked to shadow work. So it's so important if you're really serious about going up into these much higher energies, to do your root work, to ground, to be in the body, to remove the fear, do your shadow work, so on and so forth. So that you are in neutral observation, compassionate detachment, and we're releasing, you're not being triggered by religion and dogma and political things. The masters could walk upon the earth and nothing triggered them, but because they'd done all their shadow work, they were part of their shadow.
So, we were talking about the root chakra there. And I wanted to start from here. I wanted to ask you, what about those people? And again, this is really, I know a lot of people just really are looking for that next, okay, like how do I get, again, discernment is just such a big thing for people. What about those people that they're watching that are all about the great escape? Okay, meaning that, hey, any day now you're going to get to leave this world, you're going to get to leave this body, you're going to get to do this. And so all these people now focus on like leaving this body, leaving this world, and they don't necessarily enjoy this experience that we're in, because it can be enjoyed, I would imagine. What do you say to those people? And do you subscribe with that there is that, that we should be enjoying this experience, or are we in some sort of hellish world, if you would?
Well, there's a lot of people say, I'll give you a prime example. There's a lot of people that say, I see this all the time. They say, I'm in 5D and I'm high vibration, but I'm never coming back here. I hate being Earth. I'm never incarnated. And I'm like, okay, you're not in 5D if you hate being here.
Right.
Because you can't be in that resonance of total abundant connected love and not like being here. It's just not possible. Mm-hmm. So it's really a lot of people saying like you were saying that there's some big thing going to happen, or it's about inheriting the earth. It's about being here. It's about wanting to be down here and calling this home for a while. If I can bring you up a chart, off air, and I can, if you gave me your the day you were born, the month and the year and the time you were born, looking at all your houses and your planetary alignments and everything, I can tell you with lots of different points, pretty much all the stars, most of the star systems you've been in. And there's loads and loads. And some people get caught up on the idea of Earth being their home forever. What a lot of people forget is that they've done this before. They've gone to other planets and helped ascend those, and then stayed there for tens of thousands of years, or sometimes just lifetimes. There's like a special forces within the Starseed a thing, and they're like special forces. They go and help planets ascend. So you want to come back, it's part of your mission. It's great being down here. 5D is not what people call 5D. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen over many generations.
Right. Exactly.
And I like
that's
about
such a big misconception. And thank you for saying that. So many people, they're literally hanging on. When is this going to happen? I can't take it here anymore. If if this doesn't happen soon, I'm gonna literally, explode.
Which a
But
lot, yeah.
But realistically, it's not going to happen overnight. It's a process that's going to take a long time.
Which a lot of that narrative's controlled too. So it's like you put that stuff in people's head. You know what I mean? Like they never knew it was a problem before, but oh yeah, it is a problem now. This 3D thing, right? So I like what you said about that. We are just really just kind of having all the dimensions we're just going through, right?
Mhm.
So I guess the key is really sustaining it, right? Is to figure out how do you.
But there's good news. There's good news because some people watching this will go down to the comment section now and say, "Oh God, well, what's the point living and all the rest?" Well, I'm gonna give you the good news. Yes, it will take generations, and it has to take generations.
Mhm.
It's like everyone wants everyone else in the spiritual community to just go vegan tomorrow. You can't do that because certain blood types can't handle it. Certain genetics over hundreds of thousands of years of programming can't just suddenly go vegan. People would become anemic. I tried it. I became anemic. I had white cell issues. I had I went and saw my doctor and he said, "You got major vitamin B12 problems. We need to try and get you more of a balanced diet here. You're seriously ill. It's
Yeah.
affecting your heart. And if you carry on, you'll probably have a heart attack." So, so I know a lot of people who have gone, that's why it's got to happen slowly, but it also has to, our genetics and, and everything have to develop slowly to keep up with the vibration in the body and everything. If it just happened overnight, we'd all just melt. So here's so that's not what everyone always wants to hear, but here's the good news though. Since the harmonic convergence in 1987, the electromagnetics of this earth rapidly began to change. Then we had various planetary alignments, and then we had a massive conjunction in April. Going back to 2012, we had various alignments that brought us closer, and the electromagnetics of this planet are changing all the time. I can't remember the exact name, but there is a governing body which dictates for ships, Google, Google Maps on your phone, the allowable tolerances that are permissible for navigation on your phone, walking down the street, ships, boats, and things. And in to around 2017, the governing body that controls all of that stuff said, the electromagnetics of the Earth and the magnetic North Pole that's skirting away over Siberia have gone so far out of permissible tolerances. We're going to have to rewrite the book here. And it also affects planes when they're landing. The runways have had to be adjusted in terms of coordinates and things. So the electromagnetics of the Earth have changed so incredibly rapidly over the years that what is the good news is that if you do the inner work and you're on a good diet and you do your meditations and your third eye practices and you tap into the energy and you do the inner work and your shadow work and everything, you can get there by yourself without having to wait for the collective. You can tap into that energy now.
Love it, brother.
Thank you, Alexander Quinn.
See, man.
So you don't have to wait another, 400,000 years for the collective to get to that place, because that's how long it's going to take.
Yeah, you would think so. Logically, that's the only thing that makes sense.
So you can do you can do your own thing then. You can get your own thing. So if the collective doesn't do that or they're not working on it, then it's not. So then would you say then it's not really your job to, or you're meaning all of us, it's not really our job to save the world then and just do your own thing, get your own stuff right and just try to be as good as you can and do the right for people as long the way. And that's pretty much what it is. Do you think we get too caught up in the whole saving the world complex?
I totally think that, people in the spiritual community get service to self the wrong way around because we've been living in an inverted matrix. So they've got service to self upside down. You are in service to the collective when you are first in service to yourself.
Very good. Very well said.
Because if you're not in service to yourself and raising your own vibration, you're no good to the collective.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're still the same. So you're not helping the collective.
Yeah.
So you've got to be in service to yourself first.
Mhm.
And then you can be service to everyone else. And people say, but that's selfish, blah, 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 blah. It is, everything's inverted in an inverted matrix, don't forget.
And it's amazing. So many
Yes.
spiritual teachers out there just absolutely believe that way. They
Mhm.
absolutely believe that way. And that's a good thing for you coming up.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, do you know what? I have I will go off to Glastonbury for a week and just have a total selfish week and just do work all by myself. And then I'll come back with new abilities turned on, new things turned on, and I'll go and help clients, help. And also people forget, what we're doing. We're off out, our bodies at nighttime, going and healing timelines and doing other things, and just our presence with our Merkaba interfacing with the crystalline grids is changing the vibration, because there's a push-pull energy with Gaia,
Yeah.
Mhm.
So everything, all, when you go to the battlefields of Gettysburg, where where in your country, and all these incredible places where you have these wars, all these crystalline grids are being healed now. So, but especially prior to 2012, if you're a sensitive and intuitive and if you're tuned up, you can walk the battlefields of Gettysburg and all these places, and you still smell the gunpowder. You still
Oh,
see the
sure.
soldiers at night. There's still a wealth of dark energy stored within the crystalline grid of the earth.
Mhm.
And that's all being healed at this moment in time. And some of the light workers walking around are doing that work purely just by walking the earth plane without doing anything at all, because of the codes that are in their Merkaba, because of they came from Antaria or Polaris or Venusian or the Arcturian or whatever. So it's so much more complicated than some of the simplicities that people put onto it. I can't even remember what the question was.
No, you answered it for sure. Has everyone that is born right now, have they come from some other galactic galaxy? Have we all come from somewhere else?
There are a small proportion of Earth seeds. They are seeds who have only ever been on the Earth, but they're actually in the minority.
Hmm.
Often when you can have souls who've been around in this universe for a long time, and then you get souls who've been actually around before this universe, and then you get souls who've been in other universes. You get some souls who have only been in and around this galaxy, like mine. When I do a client session, I'll actually, sometimes a client will say, hey, how old am I? And I'll say, well, let's just start just with this solar system. And okay, turns out you've been on Mars. Are you having dreams about being wiped out by nuclear fallout? Because that's what all the Mars people think about, the red planet. I get some people who dance around this solar system all the time. Okay, let's come out this solar system. Maybe you've been knocking around the galaxy for a bit. I deal with some souls who have had millions and millions, 500 million lives.
Hmm.
I had a client yesterday who had only been in this solar system 50 times. So it changes. It really differs. You get old souls just in terms of a Gaia, but then you get old souls in terms of the universe. The universe is so big, and some souls are born out from creator source, which are newer, and some are older, and all have different different things and jobs to do. It's incredibly complex. It's so big.
Yeah,
It's
it really is,
so
man.
complex.
It's a mind screw, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just when you take a look at the great
Yeah.
scope of it all. Wow.
I mean, I sometimes when I speak to clients, and they say, well, tell me where I'm from. I said, okay, but I'm warning you, you're going to have a lot of different star systems popping up, a lot of different places where you visited, but you didn't incarnate. A lot of places where you incarnated, but then you left. A lot of star systems where you had a great, you had a very strong resonance, and that resonance is now coming into your field now because you're bringing in Arcturian energy now. There'll be some places where there are still karmic debts to pay back, and you're coming back from that solar system, and you're doing that work from here. So there's so many complexities to all of this. And when I say to people, okay, I'll look at your chart. Okay, we got this, we got this, we got this. And they say, well, that's not possible. I don't resonate with that. I said, well, I know you don't resonate with it, but it's in your chart. It's coming up. I can even show you astrologically. No, how old do you think you are? And I sometimes I'll measure a client's energy. I'll say, do you know you've had more than 1 million lifetimes? This is just in this galaxy.
That's
So so there's a massive complexity to all of this.
Are we are we coming back with each other? Are we coming back in soul clusters? Is there anything to that, or are we just all cycling through and we kind of bump into each other randomly, or and we're meeting new souls along the way?
Yeah, there absolutely are soul groups, 100%. Let's give an example. For example, you got a friend, and it's a love-hate relationship. You don't know what to do with them, and you don't know what to do without them. That's the typical, like, someone in your soul group who you've incarnated with lots and lots of times before. And sometimes in a lifetime you'll meet them, sometimes you won't, but that's the typical thing. Sometimes you've been with your partner in lots of lifetimes before, sometimes you haven't. And the reason why you come in as soul groups is because it's easier for the learning. And there are certain parts and attributes and things that you're on some level, you're all doing together and you support each other. That's why when you do a conference, there's a whole lot of people come. That's why, when, do you know who Linda Howe is?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Linda Howe is, she's a specialist. She reads the Akashic record and she says something that I absolutely love. She says, never in her career ever did one client come that wasn't destined to come to her before she was even born. So certain people will be drawn to certain people, partly because your lineages, but also because of certain groups, and you're incarnating, working with and for each other. And it's ancestral as well, because you're working through ancestral things. We are our ancestors as well. So you do get soul groups, and it's easier for it to, for example, if you had grandchildren, there's a high percentile that actually I don't know if your parents have passed on or not, but your mother would come back through your grandchildren. Right. So that's often why the grandparent will look at the grandchild and look at them, and there's this almost like a knowing, like someone looking back at them who they knew. Yeah. It's often because the grandparent or whoever it is that they used to know has come back through not the next generation down, but the generation after that. So you're akashically all growing together, and it helps that way. It's part of the evolution. So absolutely bang on. Yes, of course that does happen, and it's needed.
Is this one last question for you? Is the soul in one person, or can the soul be split? So can you have is a soul indicative of just being in one person, assigned to one person, or can you have that soul be like in different parts or in different people, like little fragments of the soul, if you would?
It can be both. And people don't like that, because the egoic linear mind doesn't like. I want to put this in a box. I want to put it in a box that's got this name and this title. Thanks, we're done. That's the ego. The soul is multidimensional. Now, a lot of your soul's on the other side of the veil, doing all kinds of things at this moment in time. That's partly your intuition. And we actually integrate it more and more down. With walk-ins, you can have 2 or 3 walk-ins in the body who are piggybacking on your lifetime. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but they come down for learning too. That's why sometimes you can have different aspects or personality traits and things. And in very extreme cases, sometimes people call it schizophrenia. But so the soul, you can have different soul fragments in different places. And also don't forget, when you're sleeping, you have different soul fragments going off and doing different things simultaneously at the same time. And you don't always remember it because the linear egoic mind can't always process it. And that's why some people don't ever remember their dreams.
I got you.
That makes sense.
Alexander Quinn, you're a pretty gifted guy, man. It's really great to meet your spirit here today. It really is. And we appreciate your service, your dedication. I got man. You're doing good stuff.
I got to say, I'm blessed to go on a lot of shows, but I think out of probably all the shows, the questions you guys have given me probably the best, bar one other person ever. So you guys are very knowledgeable. You actually know your stuff.
Thank you.
So it really makes my life easy to talk hopefully with you, but I didn't feel like I talked at you. And I would like to my Arcturian self would like to say goodbye, and if it's time.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much.
And nasnakit istan kambia bosh nakiti istan bosh tak isnan kandia bandia banda. Thank you very much, and it's a real pleasure to be with you guys. Now, you guys are so knowledgeable, and it's a pleasure for me to be with people who are so knowledgeable, because there are a lot of people who really don't know their stuff, but you guys do, and that's why so many people keep coming back and watching your channel.
Aw,
Thanks,
thank
brother. I
you.
appreciate
We'd
that.
love
We
to have
appreciate
you
the love.
back.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love your wisdom, and I mean that. I really do
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah.
your
It's a
service,
joy
your
for
dedication,
us.
and your outlook towards, you know, just getting people through the other side or through this side or wherever they got to get through. Much love on your journey in life, man. We really do. The books, information will be out there. Everybody, how to connect with Alexander will be out there for you to see there. And I'm sure you'll fall in love with him like many do. So thank you again, my brother. And we will see you all.
God bless. God bless, and enjoy the alligators and everything else in Florida.
You got it, man.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And together we are turning the universal key to global harmony. And with Alex's help, creating a unified world. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, tune in often, tell all your friends, and most importantly, may all your dreams come true. Many blessings. We'd like to share a story. While it may sound fictional, it's very real and happening right now in front of our very eyes. It's called The Great Awakening. Our sisters and brothers that come on Spiritually Raw are doing everything to help expand global consciousness, and in many cases, putting everything on the line to share their messages about what's happening around the world for the greater good of humanity. We are living in the most unbelievable times. Some may even say biblical, scary for many and yet exhilarating for others. Together we are taking part in getting everyone acclimated to the Great Awakening process and the exciting new discoveries that lie ahead. The sad part is many of our amazing guests are being heavily censored, socially shamed, and outright banned on many platforms for exposing the truth and piercing the veil. By becoming a viewer, you bring your powerful energy towards this global movement of other truth seekers. If you're resonating with our show, please let us know by hitting the like button, sharing, subscribing, turn on the notification, and leave some comments. Together, we will turn the universal key to global harmony and create a unified world. And remember, tune in often, tell all your friends, and most importantly, may all your dreams come true. Thanks, and God bless Patriots worldwide.